One.
All right. Welcome to the second Fragments of Silicon review for the week. So I've switched to my phone currently because, well, my new computer and Skype are having some disagreements. Like, apparently the microphone there keeps cutting off, and I don't know, it's like Skype won't come back online, even though. There it goes. At last. Well, just for the sake of, it's like we'll do testing later. We have a review to get to.
Indeed.
So the second review this week is a game called Galax, if you please.
Vive le roi.
Yeah. I cannot do a French
kind of help speak French.
Yes. Now, if you need a translation on that, that means "Long live the king," and that really does sum up the objective in a nutshell. You're kind of playing in an alternate French Revolution setting.
Yeah, I think there's a thing about how the bourgeoisie are just as bad or worse than the royalty ever was, so it's up to you to change history.
Right. Which does have its actual truth in history. The French Revolution went really bad. In case you didn't know.
Yep.
It's like was it like the 100 Days of Terror or something like that?
They kind of had several revolutions, all kind of in a row. They all kind of bled together because.
Bled.
The people who revolted were then revolted against.
Yeah, but this is and your job is to save basically a caricatured version of King Louis the 16th.
Who is literally on the chopping block.
Right.
Case maybe.
Whatever metaphor you want to go with. It's not really important. But, anyway, so what the game actually is a puzzle platformer. Or at least a side-scrolling puzzle game. Like, you don't really jump, so calling it a platformer isn't exactly accurate.
There are platforms, but honestly, the main way of interacting with the game is clicking on things, and then your character kind of makes their way to them on their own.
I'm sure you can see via the screen there. And everything is done in silhouette because it's it's supposed to be either right or dawn or early day, early night kind of deal. And you're trying to save the king by the last day, by the last of the daylight or whatever, or before things. The point is you're trying to save the king. Everything is in silhouette like Limbo.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Your main adversary are going to be these guards who, wander back and forth, or are stationary. It depends on the level. And you've got to get to the king. Now how? And the puzzles, they generally involve either opening a door or having it so that, getting around the guard's line of sight. And and trust me, the line of sight here is pretty impressive. Like they'll be able to see from a distance.
Yeah, and I wasn't clear how some of the hiding behind objects works.
Um,
From what I can tell, it's basically you have to click on it when the marker is blue,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you'll actually take cover.
Once you're in, yeah, it's like what, and you have to be in a hiding position to be hidden. Like you can't just like be standing in the shadows; they will see you.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually pretty exacting in that fashion. You know,
How do you get into hiding position? I never figured that out.
It's when you click on like a box or something when it's blue.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
and then it just shows you up against something.
Yeah.
and other elements that are added later are like dynamite boxes, in order to, which make a sound that attracts the guard to that place, and umbrellas let you jump off from tall places. You know, it's basically a parachute.
Mhm.
And there might be more puzzle elements. Admittedly, I think I got around puzzle 11 before I ended up stopping. That's mainly because I've been dealing with real world stuff, and mainly getting up the new computer
Hmm.
now. So that took up more time than I was hoping. Plus, this game doesn't have cloud saves now, so my save here is kind of stuck on the other computer. At any rate, the other part of the challenge of this game is movement, like actual movement. Um, because every turn you make goes towards a counter. And, this game was designed with mobile sensibilities in mind. I mean, it becomes obvious when you get 3 stars. It's the same 3 yellow stars you see in like every mobile game ever.
Mm-hmm.
Almost
Yeah,
based
and
on,
you get those pretty much by clicking the least possible number of times.
right. And I gotta admit, this is kind of where the game broke down for me, because you know ultimately ultimately you can eventually brute force challenge the challenges now, because there is no penalty for getting caught other than getting caught and having to restart. So you're basically free to experiment and figure out the least amount of moves just by through sheer trial and error, rather than
Yeah, that's what it ultimately is. It's a trial and error puzzle game.
yeah. It's like, I gotta admit that deflated my enjoyment of the game quite a bit, because I'm like, there's no there's not much in the way of actual creativity in the puzzle solutions. It's just hitting your marks, figuring out the timing. It's all a lot more mechanical than it probably should be. I'm not saying it's a bad game or anything. I'm just saying, you know, everything's going to line up pretty much the same. Now, granted, the biggest X factor is the timing of the soldiers. Especially
right,
when
which ultimately the hardest thing for getting the highest rankings on this is figuring out how much you can do in one thing, and then timing it so you do all that stuff while still dodging everybody who's looking at you.
Yeah. And that's where the only actual challenge comes from, because like I said, if you're just trying to blaze through the game, you'll be able to do that quite easily, actually. It's like the actual challenge is figuring out how to do this in, say, 6 moves.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a neat challenge, but gotta admit, it didn't float my boat, so to speak. Like, now, as far as the graphics go, there's not much to say here. Like, everything looks clean and simple, and it I suppose fits with a cartoon image of revolutionary France.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like the music, oh, it's there. Like, it's like really the only music I remember is like the failure theme, mainly because you're gonna be hearing that a lot as as you literally puzzle your way through the levels.
Right, right.
You um, yeah, and once again, this is another game where there's not too much to say about. You
But in this case, it's not because it's a bad game. It's just because it's a simple game.
yeah,
Right.
Neverend was also a simple game. It's just, that game also was not good. This game is, I hesitate to call it, amazing or anything, but it's at least perfectly functional.
Mm-hmm.
There are certainly worse things to pick up and play for a little while to kill time.
Yeah, like, since it's got mobile design sensibilities, you're probably going to play it for 15 minutes, a half an hour kind of deal at most.
Mm-hmm.
That's about how long I played it before I felt like I got my worth out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, anyway, the game comes from Sylvian Sekia and publisher Meridian 4, who did provide the copies of the game for review. Now, I'm like, also from what I can garner, there isn't any bonus levels either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's kind of another detriment. There's not even like, more levels to unlock, even if you get the best ranking. Also,
There
You
doesn't
know,
look to be like any online leaderboards or whatever.
no, there's no online leaderboards, but I mean, what would be the point?
Yeah.
Like, there's only so many moves you could do before you get to the minimum amount of moves.
Right.
This isn't like it's based off of time or anything. It's like,
Yeah, you can take as much time to think as you want as long as you click a few enough times.
yeah,
And some stages require deceptively few clicks.
yes. I'm like, there's challenge here. It's just there's not enough of it. It's like, I'm really shocked that there's no timer here. Because this is the kind of game that really needs a timer. Otherwise, yeah, you're not feeling the pressure. I guess that's one of those things that may be hard to balance out, but
Especially since the king is due to be executed at dawn, I presume.
yeah, yeah,
And it looks like the sun is rising in the background.
yeah. You would think that, like the very premise of the game kind of lends itself to timed pressure, but yet there's no timer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's see. As far as price goes, the game is currently priced for $5 on Steam. I'm not sure if that's how much the mobile version is going for. Like, also, I am as of yet unaware of any sort of, say, DLC plans, because you know how it is with mobile games. They roll out new levels and new packs, down the line. But as far as I know, as of this recording, the 30 levels is all you get. So, as far Anyway, so getting back to evaluating if it's worth it, sure. I'd say buy this on mobile first because it just works better there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like it's a game that is perfectly functional on the PC, but its design sensibilities are really meant for a touchscreen.
And also for pick up and play.
Mm-hmm.
The touchscreen isn't that necessary, but yeah.
Yeah. Although I'm not sure if this game is currently on mobile devices yet.
I checked on the Google Play Store and I didn't find it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on. I'm gonna have to see if it's on Steam, but yeah, I'm not seeing anything on mobile. So it looks like if you want it on iOS or Android, you might have to hang back. I mean, having the publisher on the show not this week but next week, so we'll search for an answer there.
Mm-hmm.
If it isn't on mobile, it certainly seems like a game that was at least designed with that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I declare Vive le Roi to be a perfectly average game.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's particularly wrong with it, but nothing's particularly right with it.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't feel like my time was wasted, but I'm not saddened that I didn't get to spend more of it on the game. Now, so final thoughts from you guys about this particular title?
I will say sometimes the pressure sensitive switches, specifically on the bottom, are hard to see. Like
Mhm.
it's sometimes hard to tell if they're just an amount of dirt or an actual button. So that's what kind of messed me up on a few of the puzzles.
Hmm.
And other than that, it's an all right game.
Okay.
I didn't play it that much. I got a little bit frustrated with one of the early puzzles that I was probably coming at the wrong way, but I don't think it's the game's fault. I'm just not great at puzzle games like this.
Twilight?
Yeah, it's a perfectly fine game. It's nothing spectacular, and it would be better suited for mobile since that's how it's designed for it. It won't hold you for a long time.
Hmm.
No, it's good.
All right, so I think that'll about do it for this week on Fragments of Silicon Reviews. Hopefully my microphone issues will have vanished by Wednesday. We'll do some work on Wednesday on that. Okay. But anyway, coming up on the week ahead, let me see. Let's see. Next week we are reviewing Trick Style, a game that I hope I can find controller support for because, trying to play that with a fucking keyboard is not good. Not good at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater style of game,
Ooh.
and yeah, to say that it controls better with a controller is an understatement.
Mm-hmm.
That the keyboard is functional enough, but it's kind of awkward, and I'm having trouble doing like a major thing. So it is like,
Yeah, I feel
and
like I feel like a 360 is easier to pull off with a analog controller.
and the thing about it is, I checked the I checked the Steam page, and it said full controller support, and I assume that includes Xbox 360 controller.
I would expect it to, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it would.
So don't know what's going on there. But yeah, everyone has that particular title. The other game we're reviewing is a game called Formulate. It's Forma.8. It's a punny title. It's a recently released Metroidvania title. Who here has ever played Unmechanical?
I have not, but I think I've heard of it. At least the name sounds familiar.
I've never heard of it.
Sorry, I was just coughing up along. Never heard of it either.
Yeah. Well, it's a game where you're basically playing a probe that looks like a flying head, and I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. It's one of those. The story is obfuscated.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm about an hour in to the game. More on this on Sunday. Let's just say there are things I really like about the game. There are things I really did that I'm having some real problems with. Also worth noting, I was the only one who got a code for this, so if anyone else wants to play it, they're on their own.
I think
Also,
it was
word of
part of one of the Humble Nindy bundles a while ago. I don't remember if I got it or not. It is on the Wii U.
yeah, it is on the Wii U, but it just got released a week or two ago.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I don't it shouldn't have been in any Humble bundles. Is my point.
Oh no, it was the Nindy promo thing where they were like, if you try
Right.
out the demos, you get a discount when it actually comes out.
Right. What I'm saying is, yeah, if you want to get Formulate, you're on your own. They only gave me the one code, so and it's also worth noting that it's $15, so it's not an inexpensive purchase either.
Right.
Now, I leave that up to your discretion. Let's see. We only have the one episode of Fragments of Silicon. Um, although I want to say we're going to have MSP this week. We're in the touch and go. We're in the touch and go era, people.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We were expecting to have an MSP episode last week. And Max was like, I'll skip it. So if we have an your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
It's like
Like-
the weather at this point.
Believe me, it doesn't make me happy either. Anyway, this week our interviewee is Trevor Michalisi of Gigatros Games. Gigatros Games is a Canadian game company. They've been around for about 6 years. Yeah, thereabouts. They've got about, I want to say 2 or 3 projects going on right now. They've got or maybe more. They got a game called Grand Class Melee 2, which is an early access. Admittedly, I do need to do a bit more research on them, but that's for Tuesday. Anyway, they were kind of a last-minute selection because we've been having some schedule adjustments this month. It happens. It just happened at the end of the month. I got to find somebody new for that now. The fun of scheduling. Anyway, until Wednesday, I wish you good gaming.